Good evening, traveler, and welcome back to Mythoria, Secrets and Sagas. As always, I sit here at midnight in England, recording this journey so that it may reach you by the next midnight, wherever in the world you are. Tell me, where are you listening from tonight, and what time is it for you? Tonight, I invite you to step into one of the most brutal and iconic journeys in American history, the Oregon Trail. It was not a game, not a romantic adventure of wagons rolling west beneath endless skies. It was a march of hunger, of disease, of accidents and despair. Thousands set out, many never arrived. Imagine yourself not in the safety of today, but in the middle of the 19th century. No highways, no airplanes, no safety nets, only a wooden wagon, oxen straining against the mud, and the hope of a new life somewhere beyond the horizon. This is not a tale of pioneers triumphant. This is a meditation on why you could not survive the Oregon Trail. Chapter 1, The Departure. The year is 1847. You stand on the edge of Independence, Missouri, where the town spills into wild country. The sun is rising, the air damp with the smell of mud and wood smoke. Around you, hundreds of wagons creak and groan as families prepare for the journey west. Oxen bellow, horses stamp, children cry, mothers hush them with voices already worn. The town is chaos, hope and fear braided together like rope. Your wagon is loaded with all that you could carry: barrels of flour, bacon, coffee, dried beans, a crate of tools, a Bible, a rifle. Too much, and the oxen will falter. Too little, and you will starve. Every pound matters. Every choice might decide life or death. You climb onto the wooden seat beside your family. The wheels, iron-rimmed, are already sinking into ruts left by others who departed before you. Ahead, the road is not really a road at all. It is a trail of dust, mud, and memory, carved by thousands of feet and hooves, stretching 2,000 miles into the unknown. The wagon master calls for order. His voice cuts through the din. Move out! The oxen lurch forward, straining against yokes, their muscles rippling beneath hides slick with sweat. Slowly, the line begins to crawl westward, wagon after wagon, a river of wood and canvas flowing toward the horizon. At first, the air is alive with chatter and laughter. Children run beside the wheels, chasing each other, shouting. Men talk of land in Oregon, fertile and free, of rivers teeming with fish, of valleys where wheat grows high as a man's chest. Dreams carry them faster than the oxen. But soon, the reality sets in. The road is rutted, the sun already harsh. The dust rising in choking clouds. Every step feels heavier than the last. The sound of wheels grinding over rock becomes the music of your life. At night, you camp in the open prairie. The wagons are drawn into a rough circle, fires built in the center. The women cook beans and bacon in iron pots, the smell clinging to smoke and sweat. Children curl up under blankets. Men take turns standing guard, rifles across their knees, eyes scanning the dark for wolves, for thieves, for shadows that may or may not be there. You lie on the ground, the earth hard beneath you, the stars vast and cold above. Around you, the prairie hums with insects. Coyotes howl in the distance. The oxen grunt in their sleep. It feels endless. And this is only the first night. Already you sense the enormity of it. This trail is not just distance. It is an ordeal. Each mile will demand something of you. Strength, blood, sacrifice. Already you wonder if you have enough of any of them. And so it begins. The wagons roll westward. The Oregon Trail stretches before you, merciless and long. And you are just one more fragile body walking into its mouth. The morning begins before the sun, because the trail waits for no one. The oxen must be yoked, the fire lit, the pot scrubbed of ash. You eat quickly. Hardtack softened in coffee, bacon if you are lucky. Then the tents are struck, the bedding folded, the wagons repacked with the precision of ritual. The wagon train moves like a slow beast, each family a rib, each wheel a bone. 15, maybe 20 miles. This is all you can hope for in a day. And those miles are not gentle. The wheels grind into ruts so deep they could swallow a man's leg. Dust rises in choking clouds until your throat feels scraped raw. Your boots rub blisters on your heels. Every step feels like you are walking deeper into exile. Children stumble beside the wagons, their faces caked with dirt. Mothers call them back, fearful they will wander too near the wheels. One slip, one fall, and the iron rim would crush a body without pause. The oxen strain under the weight, their hides streaked with foam, their breaths ragged. Whips crack, curses rise, the animals groan. Without them the wagon is worthless, and yet every day brings them closer to collapse. You soon learn that the trail has a rhythm, but it is not kind. The days are long marches under a sun that punishes without pity. The land stretches flat and endless, the horizon mocking you with its distance. At noon, the wagons halt briefly. A meal is cooked over quick fires, beans, bread, coffee, but it is not leisure. It is fuel. The wagon master is stern. Linger too long, and night will catch you in the open. Evening brings a fragile relief. The train circles its wagons, a crude fort against the unknown. Fires flicker, shadows dance, laughter rises. But it is brittle, forced. The laughter of people trying to forget the miles waiting tomorrow. The men tend to broken wheels, split axles, loose shoes on the oxen. The women wash clothes in streams, their hands red and raw. Children play in the dust, their voices high, their games short-lived. Then comes night. Stars bloom in a sky so wide it swallows you whole. Coyotes howl, their cries sharp as knives. Somewhere in the distance, drums echo faintly, or perhaps it is only the heartbeat in your ears. Around the camp, rifles rest within reach. No one says it aloud, but everyone feels it. Danger lingers beyond the glow of the fire. Sleep does not come easily. The ground is hard, the air cold, the insects relentless. The canvas cover of the wagon flaps with the wind, a constant reminder that there are no walls here, no doors to close against the dark. You are as exposed as a leaf on a river. And through it all, the wagon rolls. Each day begins the same, ends the same. March, eat, camp, sleep, a grind of dust and toil that wears down body and spirit alike. Hope becomes fragile, a thing you clutch with shaking hands, while the trail stretches endlessly forward, never shorter, never kinder. Already you feel it. The wear on your boots, the ache in your bones, the rasp in your throat. The Oregon Trail does not just test your strength, it eats it mile by mile until you are hollowed out, and this is only the beginning. You thought hunger was cruel, thirst merciless, but then disease begins its quiet harvest, and you realize the trail's most powerful weapon is neither starvation nor storm. It is the sickness that walks unseen, passed from hand to hand, mouth to mouth, until it lives in every cough, every drop of water, every shared spoon. The first signs are small. A child grows pale, his steps falter. A mother clutches her belly, lips press thin against pain. Soon it spreads. Dysentery strikes quickly, leaving bodies racked with cramps, bowels loosed until strength drains like water spilled on dry earth. Cholera follows, swifter still. One moment a man is walking, the next he is on the ground, his skin blue, his breath shallow, his life already leaving him. The trail is lined with graves, fresh earth mounded beside the wagons, marked with crude crosses or only stones. Some families stop long enough to say a prayer. Some move on, unable to risk delay. The names of the dead are swallowed by the prairie wind. A day later, the ground looks the same as every other stretch of earth. Only the living remember, and even their memories blur beneath the weight of miles. Disease does not strike fairly. It takes children first, their small bodies too fragile for the strain. Then the old, bones brittle, hearts too tired. But it does not spare the strong. A young father may drink from a stream at noon and be buried before sunset. A mother may cradle her infant one night and wake to find it still in her arms, cold, unmoving. The surgeon's chest offers little. Laudanum for pain, calomel for purging, quinine if luck allows. But medicine here is little more than hope dressed in bottles. No cure stops the tide. When sickness spreads through a wagon train, the only defense is distance. The healthy move on, leaving the sick behind. Sometimes whole families are abandoned, their cries fading into the silence of the prairie. You march past graves every day, some with names carved into boards, some unmarked, the dirt already settling. The numbers blur until you no longer try to count. 1 in 10 who start this journey will not finish. That is the mathematics of the trail. At night, you lie awake listening to the coughs around you, the moans, the restless shifting of bodies. You wonder if the sound next to you is only sleep or the beginning of death. You hold your breath, as if your lungs might bargain with the air itself, begging not to take the sickness in. But breath cannot be denied, and fear lingers with every inhalation. The Oregon Trail became, in truth, a road of bones. Not because of war, not because of arrows or gunfire, but because of water too foul to drink, food too foul to eat, and the diseases that followed both. And still, the wagons roll on, because those who survive have no choice. They bury the dead, wipe the earth from their hands, and continue west. The trail does not stop. Neither can they. Neither can you. The trail leads you to water. Not a stream you can step across, not a shallow creek for filling buckets, but a river, wide, swift, relentless. Its surface glitters in the sun, but beneath, the current claws like a hidden hand. The Missouri, the Platte, the Snake, the Columbia, each one waiting to take its share. You halt with the others at the bank. Wagons line the shore, oxen bawl, men stand with arms crossed, calculating risk. The water is too deep to wade, too fast to trust. A ferry might be hired if you are lucky, if you can pay. But ferries are few, and time is precious. Most choose to ford. The preparations are grim, goods are shifted, barrels sealed with pitch, canvas tightened. Livestock are driven ahead, urged into the current, their hooves thrashing, their eyes wide with terror. The wagons follow, wheels churning mud, oxen straining as water climbs to their shoulders. Men shout, women pray, children cling to anything solid. The river cares nothing for any of them. The first wagon lurches forward. For a moment, it holds. Then the current catches it. The oxen panic, stumbling, their yokes twisting. The wagon tips, its canvas top collapsing as water surges inside. A child screams, cut short as the river swallows. Men dive in, too slow. The current takes wagon, oxen, child all together, dragging them downstream until they vanish in spray. The camp is silent, only the river speaks, gurgling, indifferent. And still, the fording must continue. The others cannot wait. One by one, the wagons test the current. Some cross, wheels groaning, oxen bellowing, soaked but alive. Others are lost, goods swept away, livestock drowned, families broken in an instant. You step into the river with your own wagon. The water is ice even in summer, numbing your legs, stealing your breath. The current presses hard against your body, stronger than any man. The oxen stumble, their hooves sliding on the unseen bottom. The wagon shifts, shudders. You cling to the side, shouting, praying, pulling with all your strength. For a moment, it feels as if the river will win. Then, slowly, the wheels find purchase. The oxen lunge forward. Inch by inch, the wagon drags free, dripping, creaking, sagging but standing. You collapse on the far bank, soaked, shivering, alive. But the relief is thin. Behind you, another wagon tips. Another scream carries across the water. By nightfall, the losses are tallied. Food gone, tools gone, a man drowned, a child missing. Families sit in silence, staring at the fire without seeing it. Some pray, some curse, some drink until they cannot stand. And in the dark, you understand the truth. Rivers are not obstacles on the trail. They are predators. They wait patiently, then strike, dragging down whoever dares challenge them. And there are still many rivers ahead. The Oregon Trail is not a road. It is a gauntlet. Every mile another trap, another test, another chance for the land itself to devour you. And you are still only halfway through. Beyond the rivers, the land opens wide, wider than you imagined, wider than you can bear. The great plains stretch before you like an ocean of grass, endless, merciless, swallowing the horizon in every direction. There are no forests for shelter, no hills for shade, only wind, only sky, only a flat expanse that mocks your every step. At first, the plains seem beautiful. Waves of tall grass ripple in the breeze, dotted with wildflowers that catch the sun. Herds of bison move in the distance, black shadows against the gold. But beauty soon turns cruel. The grass hides nothing. The sky offers no mercy. Days blend into one another, each mile the same as the last, until time itself feels broken. The monotony weighs heavier than hunger. Families march in silence, their voices worn away by the sameness. Children no longer laugh. They trudge, heads down, dust clinging to their faces. Men grow shorter in their tempers, women thinner in their patience. Hope shrinks with each sunrise, as though the land itself is draining it from you. Then come the storms. They rise without warning, born in the far reaches of the plains, rolling toward you like armies of cloud. The sky blackens, the wind howls, the grass whips as though trying to flee. Lightning spears the ground, splitting trees to ash, striking the prairie flat. Thunder shakes the earth, rattles the wagons, terrifies the oxen. Rain follows, not gentle but savage. Sheets of water lash your face, soak your clothes, drown the campfires. The wagons sink into mud, wheels trapped, oxen bawling, men straining to free them. Some wagons break their axles, left behind in the muck. Others tip, spilling food and supplies into the storm, lost forever. If the rain does not come, then dust does. Wind whips the plains into storms of grit so thick you cannot see the hand before your face. Dust coats your teeth, fills your eyes, clogs your lungs until you cough blood. It seeps into food, into blankets, into every corner of every wagon. You breathe it in your sleep, you wake choking on it, and always there is the heat. The sun glares from above without relief. Skin blisters, lips crack, animals stagger beneath the weight of it. Water grows scarce, the barrels running dry faster than they can be filled. Men scrape at muddy streams, women pray for rain, children collapse in the dust. Some never rise again. Nights bring no comfort. The air cools, yes, but the coyotes howl and wolves stalk the edges of camp. Sometimes they take an ox, sometimes they take something smaller. Fires burn low, rifles rest ready, but the fear lingers like smoke. The Great Plains are not empty. They are full of hunger, of storms, of silence. They are an endless test of patience and endurance, stripping you of illusions, of strength, of faith itself. You begin to understand why so many graves lie along this trail. It's not just the rivers, not just the disease, not just the accidents. It is this, the sheer vastness of the land, the way it grinds down body and spirit until death feels like relief. And still, the wagons roll, because stopping is not an option. Stopping means the land wins, and the land always waits. By now, you know the trail does not need an enemy. It creates its own. Every day brings another accident, another wound, another reminder of how fragile life is on the road west. The rifles are supposed to protect you from wolves, from raiders, from shadows in the night. But more often they kill your own. A careless hand, a slippery trigger, and the shot goes off inside the camp. Sometimes it strikes a barrel, sometimes a man's leg, sometimes a child. The surgeon does what he can, but with little more than saw, knife, and rum. The ending is usually the same. The wagons themselves are killers too. They groan over ruts and rocks, tipping without warning. One slip, one stumble, and the wheels crush bones like dry sticks. Mothers scream, fathers curse, and the wagon master says nothing because there is nothing to say. The trail does not wait for grief. Oxen break their legs in the mud. Horses bolt and drag wagons into rivers. Axles snap, tongues splinter, wheels shatter. Men lose fingers to hammers, hands to blades. Fire takes what the rivers do not. Sparks from the camp, careless tinder, and suddenly a wagon burns, its supplies consumed in minutes. But the worst accidents are human. Quarrels start small, over food, over space, over who leads and who lingers. But hunger sharpens tempers, thirst fuels rage. Fists fly, knives flash, blood is spilled. Some fights end quickly, bruises forgotten by dawn. Others end with bodies left behind, graves dug shallow, stories whispered but never written. Trust becomes fragile. Suspicion grows like weeds. You hear voices at night, men arguing low, plotting. The wagon master tries to keep order, but order is thin as cloth. The articles of the trail are unspoken, and breaking them carries no lash, only exile or worse. Beyond the camp, danger waits too. Some say raiders lurk in the tall grass, shadows with bows and rifles, watching. Some encounters are peaceful, trade offered, guides hired, help given where none was expected. But fear twists every meeting. A gesture misunderstood, a weapon too visible, and panic does the killing. More than once, the smoke of gunfire rises into the sky. A fight begun by fear, ended in silence. And when the camp quiets again, you realize the trail itself is not the only enemy. Hunger can kill, disease can kill, but men kill more often and more easily than either. At night, you lie awake, listening to the wagons creak, the oxen shift, the murmurs of families trying to hold themselves together. You clutch the handle of your knife, knowing it is a poor defense against misfortune or against desperation. The Oregon Trail is not just a march against nature, it is a march against one another. And on this road, both battles are deadly. Rumors travel faster than wagons. Before you ever set foot on the trail, you heard the stories whispered in taverns, printed in handbills, shouted by preachers. Tales of savage raids, of arrows raining from the hills, of pioneers cut down to the last child. Those tales walk beside you now, whispering in every gust of wind, hiding in every shadow on the horizon. And yet, when the encounters come, they are rarely what you were told. The first is a small group on horseback, figures appearing suddenly from the tall grass, their faces unreadable, their movements precise. The train halts. Men reach for rifles, hands tight on the stocks, eyes wide with fear. But the riders do not attack. They approach slowly, one hand raised in greeting. A trade is offered. Food for tools, horses for blankets, pelts for beads. You watch as the wagon master steps forward, rifle slung low, and begins the fragile dance of exchange. A mistranslated word, a too quick gesture, and it could all dissolve into blood. But today it does not. Knives change hands, corn is shared, fire passes between strangers. Then the riders vanish back into the horizon, leaving only hoofprints in the dust. Other times, the encounters are colder. A group watches from a distance, silent, mounted, their faces unreadable. Hours pass, the riders never moving, never leaving. At last, they turn and fade into the grass without a word. The camp sleeps uneasily that night, every crack of wood mistaken for footsteps, every coyote's cry mistaken for war whoops. And sometimes fear does the killing. A boy runs into the grass to chase a rabbit. A shadow rises, mistaken for threat. A shot cracks. The boy returns to camp with blood not his own on his boots, his face pale with terror. The trail continues, but something has shifted, and no one speaks of it again. Trade is common, help too. Sometimes a guide is hired, someone who knows the rivers, the passes, the hidden paths. Without them, the wagons might wander for weeks, lost, doomed. But trust is fragile. Every bargain feels like a gamble. Every gift feels like a test. The truth is simple. The native peoples are not demons. They are not saviors. They are human, bound to the land the pioneers march across, watching as the flood of wagons consumes their world. Some choose trade, some choose silence, some choose war. and every choice is shadowed by loss. You carry the fear of attack always, because fear is easier than truth. Truth is harder, that you are the intruder here, that every mile west is a mile taken from someone else, that every grave along the trail is not just a pioneer's, but the sign of a world colliding with another. At night, the fire crackles low, the stars stare down, cold and endless. You hear laughter from another wagon, the cough of sickness, the soft sobbing of someone who cannot bear another mile. And somewhere beyond the fire's glow, other families sit in their own camps, watching the same stars, telling stories of you. Stories that will not end in friendship. The encounters on the trail are not simple battles of good and evil. They are meetings of hunger and survival, of fear and pride. They are exchanges made with one hand on the knife, and each one leaves its mark, on the land, on the people, on you. The Oregon Trail is not just hardship, it is collision, and you walk in the middle of it. For weeks, the plains have been your prison, flat, endless, unforgiving. Then one morning the horizon changes. At first it is only a faint smudge in the distance, dark against the sky. But each day it grows, sharper, taller, more impossible. The mountains rise, the Rockies, the Sierra Nevada, walls of stone and snow waiting to test what little strength remains in you. The air grows thinner as you climb, your breath burning in your lungs. Nights are colder here, biting through blankets and canvas, turning water to ice by dawn. The oxen stumble more often, their ribs stark, their breaths clouds in the morning air. Wagons creak and splinter as they strain up inclines they were never built to climb. Men shout, women weep, children cling silently to their mothers. Every mile upward feels like lifting the earth itself. The trails narrow to paths carved into rock, sheer drops yawning at your side. One wrong step, one slip of a hoof, and wagon, oxen, family, all tumble into nothingness. You try not to look down, but the void calls to you, whispering of gravity's patience. Food is nearly gone. Flour stretched with sawdust, bacon nothing but rancid scraps. The game that once roamed the plains is scarce here, the forests too thin, the valleys too high. Hunger gnaws at you constantly, a second pulse in your veins. You chew leather straps to quiet your stomach, boil pine needles for bitter tea. Mothers watch their children fade to shadows. Fathers barter tools, clothes, anything for a handful of corn from another wagon. And when the last crumbs vanish, when the snow begins to fall, there is only one choice left. You have heard the stories. Whispers of the Donner Party, trapped in these very mountains by winter storms. Wagons buried in snow, oxen dead, supplies gone. And then the unspeakable, flesh carved from the dead to keep the living alive. It is a story no one tells aloud, yet everyone knows. And as the snow begins to pile on your shoulders, you understand how it happens. Desperation eats away not just at the body, but at the soul. Some pray, some curse, some simply fall silent, staring into the white abyss ahead, waiting for the end. But the mountains are merciless. They do not kill quickly. They grind you down slowly, testing every muscle, every scrap of will, until even the strongest bend. Crossing the Rockies is not just a battle against height or cold. It is a battle against time itself. If you are too slow, winter seals the passes, and the trail becomes a tomb. If you are too fast, you burn out the animals, break the wagons, lose what little you have left. The balance is fragile, the stakes absolute. Each step higher, each pass colder, you feel yourself unraveling. The mountains do not care. They do not move. They have stood for ages, and they will stand long after your bones join the thousands already buried in their shadows. When at last you crest the ridge, when you see the land fall away toward the west, it is not triumph you feel, it is exhaustion. Relief, yes, but fragile, trembling, fleeting, because the journey is not over. The mountains are only one more predator, and beyond them waits another. The land is still vast, the trail is still merciless, and Oregon, if it comes at all, is still only a dream. The trail has taken you through rivers that swallowed wagons whole, plains that drained your spirit, storms that scoured your flesh, and mountains that ground your hope into dust. You have watched graves multiply like mile markers, each one a reminder that the Oregon Trail was not a road to promise, but a gamble against death itself. Now, at the journey's end, the truth is undeniable. You would not have survived. Perhaps hunger would have claimed you, gnawing your body hollow until you could no longer walk beside the wagon. Perhaps thirst would have left you delirious in the dust, lips cracked, eyes staring at skies that gave no mercy. Perhaps disease would have struck in the night, cholera seizing your breath, dysentery draining your strength, fever burning you away before dawn. Or perhaps it would have been quicker, a wagon's wheel crushing your ribs, a rifle's misfire piercing your chest, a river's current dragging you under before you could scream. 1 in 10 who began the Oregon Trail never reached its end. 1 in 10 is the number the land claimed mile after mile in exchange for the promise of Oregon's fields and forests. And if you imagine yourself strong enough, clever enough, lucky enough to stand among the survivors, then ask yourself, at what cost? Which child would you bury by the road? Which friend would you abandon when the wagon could carry no more? Which piece of yourself would you sacrifice to walk those last steps into the valley of promise? And yet, despite all this, thousands tried. They walked willingly into suffering, into risk, into death, because the dream of a new life burned brighter than the fear of losing the one they had. That, perhaps, is the most human truth of all. We endure not because survival is certain, but because hope demands we try. So, listener, as you sit safe in your home, ask yourself, could you have walked the Oregon Trail? Could you have buried your dead, eaten your last scrap, crossed the rivers and the mountains, all while knowing tomorrow might be the day the land demanded your life? I suspect you could not. Few could. And that is why the Oregon Trail became not just a road west, but a legend written in bones and silence. Thank you, traveler, for walking this long, hard road with me tonight. Before you go, I ask, tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it for you? Could you have survived the Oregon Trail? Rest well, for midnight will bring us another journey, another saga, another step into the shadows of history. Until then, sleep deep, dream safely, and may the road ahead of you be kinder than the one we have walked tonight.